So you're working with Harley Race there. What are your memories of working with Harley in this capacity? He was your manager.
Yeah, and before we go on, I've wrestled a lot of great wrestlers and athletes. Shawn Michaels in the WWF, and then obviously the E. But throughout my career, and then you go to Japanese like Muta and Shono and Inoki and Fujinami and Shoshu. Some of the best wrestlers in the business, and I'd have to rate Sting as the best. I mean,
You're kidding?
Athletic.
Okay.
This guy, he's fluid, he's strong. And you put his mind in with that athletic ability is very good. But Harley, you talk. If we had an hour show, we can talk about some stories.
Harley.
Yeah. Oh man. Here it is. He won't let me drive. I'm in the passenger seat. We have the Harley Race.
Did he have the Cadillac?
Oh yeah. He's got his
The Caddy, right?
the Caddy. But what's the engine? North Star.
Oh.
The North Star engine in the Cadillac. We wouldn't rent one unless it had the North Star engine. Of course, the car could go 160 miles an hour. Literally, I mean, you talk about breaking some laws on the road. But here we are. We get done with the match. Harley is in his suit and tie, and so he said, "I'm not showering today. Get your big ass." He called me fat. Get your fat ass in the shower. And get dressed, quit talking. You had a great match, quit talking about it, yes, don't worry about it, it was good, so on and so forth. So that was the first thing. At one point I was procrastinating and I was undressed, ready to get in the shower. And he had this little 50,000 watt thing, the electric, where you...
Oh, a taser.
Taser, there you go. He had a taser, and he was famous. He would scare everybody because he wasn't afraid to use it. He came up behind me and said, I said, get your fat ass in the shower and hit that thing. I thought I was going to pass out. It was unbelievable. Right there, Sting. We talk about Sting's athleticism. Mm-hmm. He suplexed me over the top rope, and you saw the timing. The timing where he gathered himself and bam, and got my 400 pounds over there. That's what I'm talking about, being able to count on Sting in the ring to do what he says he'll do. But yeah, so we're traveling down the road. We're going 110 miles an hour. Obviously, he'll take the governor off the Cadillac, okay, off the engine. So we have what I call 2 cases of beer on ice in the back seat. And it's a Harley Race. It's the hefty trash bag. So basically, well, let's just say a case. You take a case of beer and you put it in the hefty trash bag. Take a bag of ice, throw it in there. 2 bags so they don't leak, put it in the back seat. That's the Harley Race.
That's the Harley Race, okay.
Now here's Harley. He's got a cigarette in one hand. He's driving with his left knee, and he's got a beer in the other hand. Okay.
And you're probably doing about 160 if the car can go 160, right?
At least 110.
Yeah.
The highways. So he's drinking his beer. He rolls down the window somehow with his left hand. I mean, he's actually driving with the knee going down. Throws the beer out. He said, "Throw all the containers out. So if I get pulled over, there's no evidence." And by the time he threw that out and brought his hand back, you had to have a beer in his hand. So in other words, you see him do it, and you're reaching for the bag, and boom, you're popping it, and you're opening it, and oh God, because if you don't, you're going to pay for it. He's going to grab that taser and bust your ass with it. So a lot of stories with Mr. Race.
So that was life on the road with Harley.
Great manager, and the thing about Harley was he would not scold me or teach me in front of the other guys, or at the time he'd wait till we were in the car and say, "No, Lena, you remember this point in time in the match, this point in time, you need to do this." So, again, you're going back in my career to AWA. You talk about Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, and Jerry Blackwell, and having that initial start with those 3 great big men, and then at that point going to Japan, going to Europe, and then having Otto Vance, but then coming to the WCW. And getting taught by Harley Race, I was really blessed in the first half of my career of being around talented big men that could get the job done. And certainly, Harley Race is well, he's a legend, and he's really good at what he did.
Did he give you any broad advice, not specific to working in the ring, because you're about to win the title here, the world title, the WCW or NWA title as it was before that. Harley had. Did he give you any career advice about how to be a champion, how to handle people in the business? Was there like wrestling life advice coming from Harley too?
The one thing I can say about Harley, he felt that his responsibility as a manager to in ring. You know, in other words, hey, you missed an opportunity here. You did this wrong here, and that's all he'd say about the match. And it was a good match or it was a bad match.
Mhm.
You either pulled it off or you didn't, in his mind. And he'd give you 2 or 3 suggestions that, obviously, if you had a brain in your head, you would take to heart and listen, which I did. As far as you know, how to handle yourself, you know, basically what he would do is, you know, if you did something wrong, he'd mention it. But in terms of advice, no, he you know, he didn't feel that was his area of responsibility.
Coming from the guy driving with the left thigh and the cigarette and the beer out the window, I guess the answer to that question.
Well, you know,
is,
hey, Harley Race is a legend in his own time, and not only in the ring but out of the ring, and it was an honor for me to be with him.
We've worked with him a few times. He is everything he's cracked up to be.
In this match, this was my first title with WCW.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is my first title attempt at this point, and we are.
Well, this, you know, you've got him in his finisher, by the way, the Scorpion
Okay.
Deathlock there.
Yeah.
But specific to winning the title, who comes to you and proposes this, or is this something that Dusty had promised you from the beginning? Come on down here, baby, and we'll make you champion, or is it?
Dusty and I had a great relationship. Like I said, when he came back from Japan, I got a phone call from Dusty Rhodes, and you know, the relationship with WCW was evolving at this point. And our first match, my first match with Sting, you know, we clicked in the ring physically, and then shortly after that, we clicked mentally in the ring, and we became good friends, and we had some very, very good matches. But no, Dusty never promised anything. It was basically on the merit system, and depending on the TV ratings, the crowd responses, so on and so forth.
How far ahead of the game in WCW is something like that planned, where you know that eventually it's going to go to you? It's not something you show up that night and you're told you're going to get it.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if I can go along with it, but you know, with injuries and you know, family situations, again, I think a good booker will take a situation and let it evolve, and as he sees the situation evolving with the crowd, with the attendance, with the TV ratings, and he take advantage of that. And I just think that Sting and I were the best show going at that particular point in time.
Was there any heat with any of the guys that you were picked over them because they'd been there for 10, 15 years that they should have had it?
You know, I don't think so. No, I'm sorry, I can't comment on that.
No, not to your face anyway.
No.
Around this time, you incorporate the moonsault, and you touched on it briefly before. How does that come about? Using